So OpenAI unleashed something huge on the world yesterday. I'm not sure if everybody truly grasps the scale of what they've done. Let's take a look. Now, of course, there's a bunch of stuff that they've announced. We have GPT-4 Turbo. It's bigger, faster, smarter. 128K tokens is the new size of the context window, which is gigantic. We'll come back to that in just a second. But the thing that truly, I think, is going to make the biggest impact is this. OpenAI is introducing the world to autonomous AI agents. And as Sam Altman stated multiple times, many times, they're doing it just one step at a time. They're doing it incrementally. And step one is this thing they call GPTs. It's not quite autonomous AI agents. It is, however, agents that the users can themselves create that act on their behalf. They're not fully autonomous, but they're sort of the in-between step. So here's the human doing everything. Here's autonomous agents. This is like the stepping stone, the halfway point. And of course, Sam Altman ended the keynote by saying, but just wait till next year because this is nothing. That's quite a cliffhanger, quite the foreshadowing, whatever you want to call it. And I think the thing that he's referring to that we're going to see next year is full autonomy. He's going to give a year for everyone to get used to what's possible with these AI agents. And then we're going to flip the switch to make them autonomous. Now, a lot of people in the comments, a lot of people that I've been talking to have been asking, what do we build? What do we work on? What is the thing that we should be focusing on? A lot of people tried to create AI apps, AI software, various things that were OpenAI wrappers, basically some sort of code that used the OpenAI API to create something cool or to add some functionality to what ChatGPT already was, such as the memory systems. Things like MemGPT were things that were supposed to really help with that. But a lot of those projects didn't quite seem like they were the right move to make, as OpenAI kept rolling stuff out, just kind of made everything obsolete. It just crushed all that stuff before it had a chance to develop and build and gain users, etc. That's kind of the unique thing about this AI wave. It's so fast that sometimes it almost pays to wait a little bit and see where everything is shaping up. But to all those people that were waiting to jump on something, some project, something to build, I gotta say, it really feels like this was the starter's pistol for the race to build autonomous AI agents. The starter's pistol went bang. And the thing to build is these GPTs. This is the proto-autonomous AI agents. And what's also kind of amazing, we also have a store where you can sell these AI bots, AI agents, these GPTs. It's going to initially have creations from verified builders, but eventually most people will be able to contribute their own bots. So think of this as the launch of the App Store by Apple back in whatever year that was. If you are not aware, a lot of people made a lot of money during those initial years and certainly afterwards, but the early movers really had a massive advantage. And I think the same thing will be here. Another huge bombshell that was dropped is you don't need to be a literal coding god to be able to create something like this. You don't need to be a software developer. You don't need a machine learning background. I'm sure those things will help, but they're not necessary. Sam Altman built one of these on stage just by chatting with it. So we don't know a lot of the details. We don't know a lot of the actual numbers, like what's the revenue share? Is it that they take a small cut, like 5%, from whatever you make? Or is it like a 50-50 split? Is it more like YouTube? Is it more like the App Store? We have no idea. Also, is it like per use? Is it how many tokens you use? Like if somebody uses this thing and, uses whatever, 1 million tokens a day, do you get some, do you charge them based on that? Or is it like a one-time fee? I haven't seen that info quite yet, but I'll go ahead and I'll make this prediction right now. In 2024, so over the course of the next 13, 14 months, some individual will make $1 million at least by creating one of these AI bots. And by the way, I think the value that these bots would generate, like the end user, how much value they'll be able to generate from these, I think in total is going to be in tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions. We'll see. But just a recent comment on the channel said they feel like this person was a little bit frustrated because they felt that they were in tutorial hell. They kept learning about AI and this different tutorials, but there wasn't quite a plan of what to do, what to focus on, what to build, what is the end goal. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're a grown adult. You make your own decision, but can I maybe suggest that this is the thing to focus on? Again, we'll know for sure within the next couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, but boy, this is looking like the thing. This is looking like the next big wave. We're going to be looking at the space a lot. So if you're not subscribed, hit subscribe because this is Yeah, this is the real deal. This is the hardcore mode. This is for all the marbles. Don't look back on this 5 years from now and go, shoot, I missed it. Don't be that guy or gal. Just don't do it. So here's a couple of things to kind of get the wheels rolling to understand what this is going to look like. All right. So first of all, Rowan Chang, I got to give this guy credit because I've been we've been looking at a lot of his tweets recently. So he's big on Twitter and he's got a AI newsletter. Is that redundant? AI newsletter. So for sure, good person to follow. But here's what he's saying. So ChatGPT has a builder profile. So if you're building these GPTs, these AI agents, it allows you to create a profile with a website link. So you can create your own little domain and talk about the various software, the various AI agents that you're building, have like a little gallery, have little tutorials, etc. So as you're selling through the ChatGPT app, which by the way, keep in mind, ChatGPT was the fastest growing app in history, right? So if you're selling on that platform, the OpenAI platform, and you have the fact that you can sort of have your own website that's kind of showcasing your best of, that's allowing you to maybe have a more one-on-one relationship with these users, that's a big deal. Not everyone allows that. Now, the secret here is very often, I've been doing this since 2011. I've been kind of in this online space since 2011, like building and selling. I've been doing a lot of e-commerce. So one thing that happens is initially when these things launch, they're like super cool to you. They're like, hey, buddy, you're the best. Here, take everything. Here's just whatever you want. It seems magical, right? Once they reach a certain scale, they start tightening up a little bit. This happened with Google, with Facebook. This happened with Amazon. This happens with everybody. Initially, there's this massive land grab. It's the land of milk and honey. People are printing money. Then the music stops, or at least slowly starts grinding to a halt. And that's when you have, the consolidation, the kind of more centrification, kind of everything becomes more centralized. So what I'm saying is there's a window that opened. There's an interval, right? From now to whatever. So don't sleep. But you can have your own builder. You can have your own brand as a builder of these AI agents. You can have your own sort of, this is me and this is what I've got. You can show yourself off, etc. And people are saying, hey, gamification is how OpenAI can get people to contribute even more. Rowan's saying, already brainstormed 5 different GPTs I'm about to launch. So you might be wondering, I can read your thoughts if you didn't know. You might be wondering, okay, but what are these GPTs? What's one example of something that works? Well, we're about to see a lot of them, but again, Rowan Chang just tested OpenAI's new GPT Builder. So I think a few months ago, he posted this thing where he downloaded all his X/Twitter data, all the times that he's posted, what kind of results that he got. And he just uploaded that raw data into Code Interpreter or whatever it's called now, the advanced analytics. And he just asked it, hey, what are the best times for me to upload my content, to tweet? What are the best keywords to use? And it went through the data and said, here it is. And that was cool, right? Yeah, it's interesting. AI helping you make better decisions through data analytics. But wait, there's more, because he just built that thing into one of these GPTs. Take a look. So he called it the X Optimizer GPT. Great name. And the description has become a helpful bot that optimizes posts on X to maximize engagement. Anyway, so what you do is you throw in a bunch of stuff. So you throw in your tweet activity metrics from however many months or weeks or whatever you want. You hook it up to web browsing, DALL-E image generation. I don't know if you need that. Code Interpreter, you definitely need that one. And take a look. Let me read this to you. So he has an idea for a post. And so he says, here's what I'm thinking about posting, right? Here's a sneak peek of OpenAI's new GPT Builder. I got early access and made X Optimizer GPT. It's a GPT that optimizes my draft post based on my previous post data on X and tells me the best times to post for maximum engagement. Absolutely insane. So GPT-4 Turbo comes back and goes, well, first of all, the optimal time to post this thing for maximum engagement based on historical data is 11 p.m. Pacific. So it went through all that data that you uploaded and goes, okay, post this at this time. This is the best time to post it. And the AI goes, regarding the post itself, I'd rate it an 8 out of 10. So he's like, it's all right, but could be better. It's clear and engaging, but we can make it a bit concise and punchy. Here's a slightly optimized version. Just tested OpenAI's new GPT Builder. Created X Optimizer GPT, which fine-tunes my post and pinpoints peak posting times for max engagement on X. The results, mind-blowing. Now, we don't know how well this would have improved over the original. To me, looking at it, and again, I've been doing copywriting for various things. It's not my main thing that I do, but as part of what I've been doing for the last decade plus, copywriting is a part of it. Writing engaging, punchy words to hook people in, to get them interested, and to sell them stuff, that's called copywriting. And it is a skill like anything else. And I got to say, just from me glancing at this is better, much better. What's even more interesting is ChatGPT is able to explain why it's better. Listen, the version is more concise. It's true. It's tight writing. Uses active voice. This is something you hear commonly to improve the writing. You don't use passive voice, and includes a subtle hint of excitement. It also removes the term sneak peek, like mountain peak, which is commonly misspelled and should be sneak peek, like peek around the corner. Moreover, it avoids overt self-promotion and directly explains the value proposition to the audience, which this last part, I got to say, that's spot on, because here you don't really have that value proposition to the audience. Here you're saying, so here's what I did, and guess what happened? You're never going to believe it, right? You want to know, okay, what happened? So it's interesting because as soon as I saw this, which is the ChatGPT produced tweet or optimized tweet, when I saw this, I went, oh, what? I clicked on it immediately. This jumped off the page to me. So this is extremely valuable to people. This is extremely useful to people that post a lot on Twitter. The ability to just throw it into ChatGPT, have it give you a few hints, optimize it. And then later, guess what? You can also have it within the same framework, within the GPT Builder. Attach it to something like Zapier, right? Something that can trigger certain events to happen, or use some APIs, for example, to have it post it to Twitter. When? On the time and day, whatever that it says you're going to get the max engagement. So it's telling you here, 11 p.m. So the next step here could be, this X optimizer GPT going, do you want me to post this new and improved optimized tweet? Do you want me to go ahead and post it tonight at 11 p.m. for maximum engagement? Yes or no? So just think about how simple this idea is. He probably built it. This could not have taken long. I mean, here's the settings for it, right? But it's very, very powerful. It's one step towards not only improving your results, it's automation. You can automatically post stuff to Twitter, etc. Here's Ethan Mollick and his blog, One Useful Thing. It's also a newsletter with, what is that thing called? Substack. That's what it is. By the way, if you're starting a newsletter, Substack is cool. I don't know. Take a look at Beehive. This is Beehive. They're not paying me to say this. If you're thinking about starting a newsletter, check it out. I've been using it. It's really good. And there are some very cool things that are coming up with it. So specifically, they're building a embedded ad network within the newsletter sort of space and community. It's a big deal. It just launched recently. Anyways, Ethan Mollick, One Useful Thing, another great follow. He's on Twitter. He's on Substack. But he apparently has been messing around with these GPTs for a few weeks now. He got early access. And so one thing that he's been able to do is get these custom GPTs to write scientific papers. So he built one of these GPTs. He called it GPT Academic Paper. He uploaded the data that is needed. And here's the final result. This looks and reads like a paper, right? You type what you want in here, any conversational style. You can test and revise your work here. So then this is what the people buying the GPT or using the GPT, this is what they see. This is the actual prompt. So I'm guessing this is hidden from the public. These are the suggested default choices. So conversation starters, I don't even know if you really need that. I guess it's helpful for brand new people to kind of get onboarded properly. And then here you upload the files for it to use, what capabilities you want to have, and that's the connection to third-party services. Again, so this is probably like Zapier, right? That can do pretty much anything. It can do a lot. Like if you wanted to connect it to Twitter or to Google Sheets or to send emails, to connect it to your payment processor, Zapier can do that easily without really the need to program or use APIs. So whatever you create in here, you can also use actions to connect it to the third-party services. Another GPT that he created is a choose your own adventure, kind of like a GPT becomes the dungeon master. This is like Dungeons and Dragons type of thing. So this is where you would need DALL-E. So as you can see, it generates images of this mythical world, and it tells you a little story and gives you some choices that you can make to proceed. Then we have our feedback wizard. So you have this AI mentor that helps you, that critiques some of your work, etc., gives you some feedback. Here's the structured prompt. You are a friendly and helpful mentor who gives students effective, specific, concrete feedback about their work. So again, when writing something like this, keep in mind that these models tend to remember the beginning really well, kind of lose sight of stuff in the sort of the center of it, the middle, and then the ending upticks their ability to remember it a little bit. So you really want to hit it hard, in the beginning, maybe some good guidance towards the end, but don't put any mission critical stuff in the center. And this is interesting because as you're building these, little things like that will separate the master builders, the people that are exceptionally good at building these GPTs from, the average person, right? The average person might put a bunch of fluff at the beginning, the key information in the center, and the results won't be as good. Somebody that studied how these LLMs process information will create this structured prompt in a way that's much more effective. So here on the OpenAI announcement for GPTs, they also mentioned that ChatGPT Plus and enterprise users can try out using Canva, for example, but also Zapier, but also Zapier AI actions. And no, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Zapier, whatever. So you build your own AI assistants that pull in the power of Zapier's 6,000 plus apps. So this is huge. This is powerful because with this is really where you can do a lot of automation for anything. And actually, I'd start thinking about what apps you can build, what GPTs you can build by looking at some of the things that Zapier already talks about, right? This is, that people are using it for certain tasks like automating your time tracking, get more mileage from your field sales, centralize and share data. Here's automation inspiration, right? So anything on here just got supercharged with these GPTs. So here's how I would be thinking about it. So one, you have the GPTs, GPT. So this is the new thing that came out that we're talking about. Next, you have various automation plugins, hooks, whatever you want to call them, APIs. So I'm going to put APIs, but also if you're not really familiar with how to do that, then Zapier is the way to go. Their little automation are called Zaps. So you can use that instead to plug into not anything, but there's like thousands of things you can plug into. And a lot of those tutorials are already out there. A lot of the ideas are already out there. It's just that this plus this, GPTs plus the APIs plus the Zaps, this is the thing that just sets everything on fire, right? This is like the supernova that's happening right now. And now again, this is like the no code approach, right? So for people that are not software engineers, they're not software developers, that are not literal coding gods, this is what you should be doing. If you're not, tech savvy, quote unquote, which if you're listening to this, you're tech savvy enough to do this. But I'm saying if you don't have, your 10,000 hours put in software development, that's fine. This isn't locked away from you. So use something like this, use Zaps, and this is going to be step one. This is step one. So for the next year or so, these things are going to be taking over everything. They're going to be taking over time management. They're going to be taking over social media, a lot of the e-commerce stuff, any online business stuff. If you're in school, kids will need this for school. If you're tutoring or learning something, this is going to be useful. Finance, time management, creating game bots that automate games, just anything you can think of. There's a million things that you can do here. And the other thing to understand is that, and I got to thank Dave Shapiro for this, because I've always kind of referred to it as multiple agents working together. So multiple GPTs working together. He just calls it agent swarms, which just sounds so cool. Agent swarms. I mean, it's like a swarm of agents, an army of agents that are doing things on your behalf. That's where the big power is going to be. Because, if you're trying to optimize, for example, if you're trying to automate an e-commerce store, you might have one top level agent that kind of figures out what task to do, then it hands it off to various smaller GPTs that do that specific thing. So one store might have 1,000 different GPTs, different agents, each focusing on doing their own little thing. One answers this particular type of customer emails. This one goes through all the orders that were sent out to try to figure out, okay, did they, let's use the tracking number to figure out, did all of them get there, right? If it didn't get there within a certain amount of time, like it's been 5 days and the order, still in transit, it kicks it over to a different agent whose job is it to figure out, okay, what's happening to this order, right? And so you're working and training on optimizing each one of those for their own particular subtask. Then you're watching to see how well they're behaving. You're kind of optimizing to make sure that it's doing everything correctly. All right, but real fast, real talk. The builders, these OpenAI store builders, the people that are building these GPTs that are able to effectively sell them through the OpenAI store, they're going to make a lot of money. Like in the next year, not 5 years, not 10 years from now, in the next year until the next OpenAI developer meeting. Because that, I think, is step 2, right? That they're going to announce. I think a lot of people are assuming that's going to be the autonomous agents. So between now and then, what OpenAI will likely want is for people that are building these GPTs, it wants to crowdsource the smartest people to build these things en masse for every application. Because then all of the whatever 8 billion people out there in the world will be like, oh, I could use this GPT for this GPT for that. They want to get as many users on board as humanly possible. And we've seen this game before happen since, 2011, since sort of the rise of the social media and the Googles and the Amazons. And by the way, Uber too, right? When Ubers started coming out, you heard these Uber drivers making 6-figure incomes, right? They wanted to get those drivers on board. They wanted to build their army of drivers. So OpenAI will be throwing large gobs of money at people that can build these GPTs that appeal to wide audience or niche audience or whatever. If you can build a valuable GPT that solves a problem and you can get some users to use it, let's just say maybe you'll make a few bucks. Yeah, can we assume that? $1 or $2 perhaps? I'm being sarcastic. What I'm saying is if you can create these things, you can make a lot of money between now and next November. Now, of course, we have yet to see the actual details of the store, the revenue share agreement, etc. But like I said, I think we've seen this before with the App Store, with Amazon, with what happened with Facebook when they started getting really good at advertising and they were bringing more advertisers on board. There's this phase where they're super cool and tons of people make tons of money. Then they reach a certain point, they get a little bit more greedy, a little bit more tyrannical, and they start kicking people off the platform. They're trying to concentrate it to a smaller number of players. The big players start building. My name is Wes Roth. If this is interesting to you, make sure you subscribe. This is kind of what we're going to be doing for next year. And if you want to see me building this stuff live, if you want tutorials on how to do it, my goal is to be the #1 channel for that. Don't sleep on this. My name is Wes Roth. Thank you for watching.